Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining my presentation today. My name is Amanda Reed, and I am a clinical education specialist with Signia. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our Augmented Experience hearing aids, which is our most recent platform. So we're going to talk about that technology as well as the hearing aids that you can find on this platform. So the name of our presentation is Signia Augmented Experience, Hearing Brilliance with Split Processing. So Augmented Experience, like I said, that is the name of the most recent platform. So what is augmented focus? That might be a word that you hear from time to time in association with our Augmented Experience platform. And to talk about augmented focus, we need to talk about directional microphones. So traditional hearing aid technology, we've used directional microphones for quite some time. And there's a reason why they are, the standard in the industry for better hearing in noise. And the reason that that's the case is because traditional hearing aid technology is going to create a nice separation between the speech that we want the patient to hear and the background noise that we really don't want the patient to hear. And traditional hearing aid directional microphones have come quite a long way over the years, but there are definitely still some limitations to it. The limitation is that your traditional technology is going to process sound on a single stream. So what that means is even if the hearing aid has, it's a premium level hearing aid that's going to have 48 channels in it, there are still going to be times where the speech and the background noise are happening in the same channel. And when that happens, the hearing aid can't physically split up the speech from the background noise because it's in the same channel. So the hearing aid has to decide, am I going to apply speech algorithms to this, which is going to boost up the speech, but it's also going to boost up the background noise because, again, they're in the same channel. Or am I going to apply my background noise algorithms to this channel, which of course is going to lower the background noise, but it's also going to lower the speech. So this is a limitation because, again, even though the hearing aid has a bunch of channels in it, right? The more channels, the better the providers are able to fine tune for the patient's hearing loss. But it's still never going to be perfect because there will be those times where the speech and the background noise are happening together. With our augmented experience hearing aids, we really have changed the game because now there's a split processor. So when the sound comes in, they're going to split it up between speech and surrounding sounds. The speech is going to go into one track. The background noise is going to go into a separate track so they can each be analyzed separately and then mixed together to create the optimal result, which we call augmented focus. The way I like to think about this is equating this to how sound engineers work for the movies. We know that the movies is like the best listening experience ever because there's a sound engineer behind the scenes creating that final outcome that we hear when we go to the movies. So if you imagine you're watching a movie and there's a really pivotal scene where the main character is having an important conversation on the corner of a busy street, you're able to hear every word that the that main character is saying. But you're also very aware that they're standing on the corner of a busy street because you hear those cars rushing by, but they're not competing with each other. And the reason that is the way it is because of the sound engineer. The sound engineer records the speech conversation in one track, the cars rushing down the street in a separate track, and then mixes them together. So with our augmented experience hearing aids, I truly feel like we can equate that little sound engineer sitting in the hearing aid that where the speech is going to be recorded in one track, background noise is recorded in a separate track, so the hearing aid can split up the different algorithms that they're using for each, then mix it together to create the optimal result, which we call augmented focus. What this is going to do is allow your patients to follow conversation with ease. It reduces the listening effort of the brain, but it still keeps them immersed in that environmental experience. So that's why I like that we use the word augmented because we are really just augmenting reality slightly in the hearing aid wearer's favor. We're attenuating background noise just enough so it doesn't compete with the speech, but not so much that it is not recognizable. So if we take a look sort of under the hood now of what's going on with these AX hearing aids, We have taken all of the benefits from the Xperience platform that you've all loved, like own voice processing, acoustic and motion sensors, signal to noise ratio, taking all of that stuff, plus the narrow directionality for clinically proven to provide better than normal hearing in difficult listening environments. Taking all of that, and now with this increased speed and power of the AX chip, you add on the split processor. So you can see with your split processor, if it's a premium level hearing aid, it's going to have 48 channels just dedicated for speech. We're going to be a little bit more linear with the compression to pull the speech sounds closer to the front, so they're nice and clear and prominent. It's going to be a little bit more frontal focused as well. Your second processor for your surrounding sounds is going to apply more compression to pull those background sounds further to the back, creating that nice difference between speech and background noise that allows your patients to be able to follow conversations so easily. Additionally, with that background sound processor, again, a premium level hearing aid is also going to have 48 channels just dedicated to background noise. So if you have a binaural hearing aid user, you're going to have 48 channels for speech, 48 channels from background noise. That's 96 channels per hearing aid. That's 192 channel precision between the ears. So of course, the split processor is really the marquee feature of our AX hearing aids. It's really like the patient is wearing 2 hearing aids on each ear, but there's a lot more going into these hearing aids than just that. So with the AX chip, we have that split processor, but we also now have ear-to-ear wireless 4.0. So if you've been with Signia, you know that we have had ear-to-ear wireless for quite some time. And it used to just mean press the button on one ear, control both, but it is way more than just that. So now this is a true like binaural synchronization between the hearing aids. They are really exchanging information with each other, just like our ears communicate with our brain. Having ear-to-ear wireless 4.0, these hearing aids on the AX platform are exchanging 110% more information than the previous platform, and they're doing it at a 60% reduced latency. So what this means for your patients is the more information we can exchange between the hearing aids, the better the results are going to be for things such as our True Ear 360 or localization. And is going to lead to inaudible shifts between modes for your patients. So they're not going to hear the pumping or the switching of the hearing aid. It is also going to improve the feedback cancellation, right? Because the more information the hearing aids share, the more accurate the data is going to be. We've also extended our input dynamic range to 117 dB. This is very close to the normal hearing ear, which is going to lead to excellent speech quality, right, for being able to understand conversations, but is also going to lead to great quality for music as well. We're super excited that on the AX platform, these hearing aids are also direct streaming to iPhone and Android. So in addition to that, we had some feature updates that came out in May of 2022. The first one, my personal favorite, is Auto Echo Shield. And Auto Echo Shield is a way for your patients to be able to function well in some reverberant or echoey environments. So Echo Shield we had previously, it was in our reverberant room program for level 7. So if you had a patient in a level 7 and you gave them the reverberant room program, Echo Shield was built in. And when the patient would switch into that program, Echo Shield would reduce reverberation and it would give a 10 to 20% better speech understanding. This was an excellent program, particularly if a patient was in a noisy environment, didn't even have to be something that you would think would be overly reverberant. Echo Shield worked great in that reverberant room program. Now, with the AX platform, we have made this automatic in the universal program for your level 7s. So now these patients are going to have this automatically built in, so that way they don't have to switch a program. If they go into a room that has a lot of reverberation, this Auto Echo Shield will kick in to attenuate those reverberant sounds and give a little boost for speech understanding. On top of this, it is now going to be accessible via the Reverberant Room program for a level 5. So if you have a patient in a 5AX, if you give them the Reverberant Room program, Echo Shield will be built into that. So it's automatic in a 7, accessible via a Reverberant Room program for a level 5. I think this is a really important feature because if we think about like what are reverberant sounds, I typically used to think, okay, a reverberant sound is going to be like an auditorium. So I would think young professionals that are going to be in different auditoriums, but it's really more than just that. If we think about places of worship, they are some of the more definitely reverberant areas and places where people really struggle due to reverberation. So if you have a patient who maybe would not have seen themselves in a 5 or a 7 level hearing aid, just if their place of worship is their social outing and that's where they're spending having majority of their conversations, and if that's a place that they're struggling, then maybe it is worth it for them to be in a 5 or a 7 so they can at least have access to Echo Shield, whether it's via a manual program or automatic. The other thing to think about is that with the way that styles and designs change over time, it is modern homes are becoming more and more reverberant because of that modern look of having minimal furniture, less carpeting, less drapery. That type of look is beautiful, but it's very reverberant. So people's homes are becoming more and more reverberant too. So just some things to think about. The next feature that we came out with is Own Voice Processing 2.0. So hopefully you're familiar with own voice processing that has been in our hearing aids that are binaural, RIC or BTE fit. You'll have access to own voice processing. It's our way to deal with the occlusion effect and eliminating that uncomfortableness of a patient's own voice. So limiting that discomfort there. So now with the split processor, we are up to own voice processing 2.0, and it really just making own voice processing a little bit more accurate because the patient's voice will be analyzed in one track. All the other noises around the patient will be analyzed in a separate track. So just really improving, like I said, the accuracy and the effectiveness of own voice processing 2.0. It's still available in all 3 levels of AX technology, 7, 5, and 3, but still only RIC or BTE that is a binaural fit. And lastly, hands-free for iOS. I'm going to touch on this briefly because we're going to get into a little bit more detail later, but this is a way that the patients can now have hands-free talking on the phone. So once they answer the call, the hearing aids will pick up the patient's voice and transmit it through to their conversation partner. So they no longer have to hold the phone up to their mouth when they are speaking. This is for iPhones only that are 11 or newer. And again, all 3 levels of technology and all form factors of hearing aids. All right, so this is our AX platform. We have our RICs, our custom, and our new stiletto that we just introduced. So first, we're going to talk about the Stiletto AX. That's our most recent addition to the AX platform, launched September 1st, 2022. So you can see that this is the new stiletto. It's actually our 4th generation of stiletto. So it's definitely come a long way since it was first launched, but it is going to have that AX chip. So all the exciting features that I've been talking to you about are all built in within this hearing aid. It's going to have all that stuff, including the direct streaming, of course, accessible with the app, and 3 levels of technology. Compared to our previous stilettos, this one is 4% smaller and 6% lighter. The mics are hydrophobic, which means water fearing, and oleophobic, meaning oil fearing. So a very reliable hearing aid, as well as having an innovative anti-capillary design for the mics, just making this as water and oil resistant and durable as possible. We've significantly expanded the color portfolio. So we have 12 total color options. You can see all the new color options there with the addition of your 3 monotone options. So typically, stiletto is known for that two-tone colors, but we also introduced 3 monotone, a little bit more generic or a skin or hair tone options. So you have the all black, the all deep brown, and the all beige. Something new with Stiletto is the AX platform is going to have a Stiletto cross. So for your single-sided deafness patients, if Stiletto is a form factor they are interested in, they will be able to utilize it with our Stiletto cross. So again, having that AX chip in it, leading to increased reliability and audio quality, because again, the cross and the hearing aid communicating with each other, exchanging more information at a much quicker rate. Charge time for the Stiletto cross, or wear time, I should say, is 23 hours. So plenty of time for your cross wearer to get out of their cross during the day. Expanding our charger options for the Stiletto as well. So we have our portable charger. This is the charger that you are typically used to seeing with the Stiletto. It is going to be charged up via a USB-C cable or Qi wireless charging plate. The new thing about this new Stiletto AX charger is that it now holds 4 charges instead of 3. So if the patient has fully charged hearing aids, they can expect 5 days of battery life before that charger has to be charged again. So you have that first full day plus 4 additional charges out of the charger, which is a nice addition here for our Stiletto AX. In terms of charging the hearing aids, it usually takes about 4 hours to fully charge the hearing aids and about 2 hours to charge the charger. We added on a dry and clean charger as well. So in addition to charging up the hearing aids, this also dries and cleans via a UV light. Runtime of the Stiletto AX hearing aids, you're going to have 20 hours of battery life per charge without streaming, 17 if you include 5 hours. And don't forget that all of our rechargeable products have what we call a 30-minute quick charge. So if your patient forgets to charge their hearing aids for some reason, just 30 minutes of the hearing aids in the charger will give you additional battery life. So for these Stiletto AXs, 30 minutes in the charger will give 5.5 hours of battery life. All right. So we also have our rechargeable RICs. So these are the first products launched on the AX platform. So we have our Pure Charge and Goes. Now the Pure Charge and Go comes with and without a telecoil. So, but we always say to just go with the telecoil version. You can see there's a big difference in battery life there. So you're going to get with your telecoil 39 hours of battery life without streaming, 36 if you include 5 hours of streaming, versus your non-telecoil option, which is going to have 28 hours of battery life, 24 if you include 5 hours of streaming. So just by adding that telecoil in, you get significantly more battery life. Plus, you have a telecoil if you decide you ever need it. The reason that there's a little bit more battery life with the telecoil version is it's just a touch bigger. The difference is about a width of a dime. So it's a tiny bit longer and a tiny bit thicker. Not so significant of a size difference that I would imagine it would defer a patient from wanting to get the telecoil option. But like I said, just the battery life alone makes it well worth it. In addition to your rechargeable RICs, we also have a rechargeable cross. So the rechargeable cross is going to use that same ear-to-ear wireless 4.0 that we've been talking about. Again, just making it really so much more reliable and just an excellent cross option for your patients. If you fit it as a bicross, you will be able to benefit from own voice processing. So we say always go with the bicross, even if your patient has a normal hearing ear, because you are still sticking something into that normal ear. They'll probably be dealing with some occlusion. So set it up as a bicross, and then the patient will be able to benefit from own voice processing. Our crosses use a skewed directionality pattern, which is a little bit different. So we're skewing towards the cross ear to improve speech understanding and noise. The rocker switch is going to be able to, on the cross, will adjust the cross sensitivity. So the patient has a lot of flexibility of being able to adjust their cross for a little temporary sensitivity adjustments. They could also do the same thing in the app. So they can do it on board or in the app. And then in May of 2022, we released our Signia Pure 312 AX. So this is going to be that RIC just with a 312 battery. So it's going to have all the same features minus the rechargeability that I discussed with the Pure Charge and Go. Like I said, just with the 312 battery for the patients who are interested in that. And then, of course, we also have a cross that is 312. So you have a 312 cross. Again, if a patient prefers a disposable battery versus rechargeable. Okay. So, and that is our RIC options. So now we're going to move to our NCO Charge and Go, which is our custom rechargeable hearing aid. So this again has the AX platform. So it has all the features that we talked about on the AX platform. It's going to have that ear-to-ear wireless 4.0. It is IP68 rated. So because of the fact that the NCO uses completely contactless charging, it uses magnetic resonance charging. Since there are no contacts on the custom hearing aid, there's less room for corrosion. The engineers were also able to seal off the microphones, similar to how they do for our RICs, to get at that IP68 rating. So it's a really, really reliable custom rechargeable hearing aid. It's going to come in all 3 tech levels, and it is direct streaming to iPhone and Android. In terms of battery life, you are going to have 4 hours to fully charge up these hearing aids. It is 28 hours of battery life without streaming, 24 if you include that 5 hours of streaming. So plenty of time throughout the day for your patients. This is going to come in 3 different shell sizes: full shell, half shell, or ITC. All right. So that is our product portfolio. Please feel free to reach out to your outside sales representative if you have any questions regarding anything we have discussed so far. But I'm going to finish it up here with some new features that also recently came out. The first one being call control. So this is a way that your patients now, if they have an iPhone 11 that was compatible with hands-free, right? So iPhone 11 or newer, they were able to use hands-free for the calls, but now they're also able to accept and end the call using the hearing aid. So your hearing aids that have a button or a rocker switch, that is how they are going to answer the phone. So they just do a press to answer. And then the stiletto is going to use taps. So new ways here that the patients are going to be able to answer the phone. And to make it, to really get into it, a single short press is going to answer the call. A single long press is to reject or end the call. The patient is going to hear a little indicator tone to let them know that they successfully answered or ended the call. And this is set up automatically. You do not have to activate this in the software. This is, and it's just going to happen automatically if the patient has a phone that is compatible. So again, iPhone 11 or newer. Now, if your patient does not want to use this, they don't have to. I wouldn't deactivate this in the software, because then technically you're deactivating the rocker switch or the push button for all functions. So what I would tell the patient is just don't press the button to answer. They can still answer their phone like normal and have hands-free as they were doing it previously to call control coming out. Now for your stiletto, you're going to do double taps. A double tap is to answer and a double tap to end. You can tap anywhere on the hearing aid because it's using the motion sensor. So it is very simple on how to be able to get the stiletto to answer. Same thing, they'll hear that short tone to indicate the successful answering or ending of a call. Now, this can be disabled in Connects. I would recommend that if the patient did not want to use it, that you do go ahead and disable this in Connects, because this is the only function for the double tap. It's not multifunction like the rocker switch and the push button. The double tap is strictly to answer and end a call. So if a patient isn't going to use it, there's no other purpose having it activated, you can go ahead and disable it, and the patient can answer their phone call on their phone like they previously were doing. So that is call control. And then the last feature we're going to talk about today is My Wellbeing. So this is a new feature that you're going to find in the app, and just bringing awareness to how hearing health is intertwined with the overall health of the patient. So there's going to be 4 insights within the app now for the patient to view: my steps, my activity, my wear time, and my conversations. Now this is accessible to all AX users that have 7, 5, and 3. Same thing with call control, by the way, only AX all tech levels, and some different things that they'll be able to see here. So their steps will be, of course, doing their step count. This is actually more accurate. Research has found ear-worn devices are more accurate than wrist-worn devices. We know that patients are into their steps nowadays, so this is going to be a way for them to be able to see that. There will be goals in there that they can set up. So it's the standard is 5,000. That's just based off of the US recommendations. But of course, the patient can adjust this as needed. So they can track their steps every day, and it'll show them over the course of a day, a week, months, and years. So they can track it over time. The activity level is going to be overall activity, so moderate versus fast. Your moderate activity is going to be like a walk or some chores around the house, whereas fast activity is going to be more like a run or a jog. And again, that is a goal that they can adjust. 30 minutes is the standard goal, but they can adjust that. Wear time, this is going to be hearing aid usage. So how often are they wearing their hearing aids? I love this because this is right in the app for them to be able to see for themselves how long they're actually wearing their hearing aids every day. Of course, this goal can be adjusted as well. And lastly, which is very unique to Signia, is we have something called My Conversations. And this is going to help the patient gain insight into their social interaction. Now, this is only going to be available for patients who have own voice processing, and own voice processing was activated. So this is only going to be for your binaural RIC or BTE users, and you have had to run own voice processing in their hearing aids. This will give them a classification on how their conversations are going throughout the day, whether they're low, medium, high, or very high. And the hearing aid is on the app, and they're looking at how often the patient's voice is recognized in comparison to other voices. So how often is the patient engaging? I love this one because we know that a main symptom or a side effect, I would say, of hearing loss is that people are less involved socially, right? They kind of disengage, they become a little bit more isolated. So this is a way that we can kind of see how now with hearing aids, how often the patients are interacting again, and you can kind of watch that trend over time. Now, with all of the data for My Wellbeing, it is only stored in the patient's app. It is only visible to them. So this is not something that's going back into your software. It's not being sent to us at Signia. This is strictly between the patient and the app. So they'll be able to view this right in the app. Like I said, they'll now see that little heart icon. So when they click on that, they'll see these insights. Okay. And again, available for all performance levels. So thank you guys all for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out